Hey, what's going on, guys? Today's the 22nd of October 2017. I'm going to be going over some trade ideas for this week. I usually do just about 10 of them for the week, so I mean, there's a lot more that's posted on my Twitter handle and my Twitter account if you guys are interested in checking out some of those other charts. I like the Clls. We got a lot of volume coming into it. Chart actually had a nice breakout on Friday off of this tight little wedge that it's been stuck in for a while. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to see us chart pull back, give us a retest, give us a reset. I think if it pulls back, maybe, comes into this area here, right into this level here, where it can then find some support off of the breakout pivots. So that area comes in to be about $29.50. If the chart comes back into that area, I think it gives us a continuation move. And if we do get the continuation off of the levels that were broken down, it could be a really nice move to the upside on this one, somewhere closer to about $35 on some sort of a continuation trade after the breakout of the top pivot. Next one on the list is Momo. Chart continues to make to formulate very bearish patterns here, and we see that it sits underneath all of the bigger moving averages, the 50, the 200. We have a nice little short setup going on here, so this one's pretty easy. If you can just set an alert for that trend line and the chart breaks that trend line to the downside, it's a pretty easy short to the downside. So basically you set an alert for this one and then play it to the downside, or you can also look for a pushback off of this downside move, and a clean little pushback on this one would come up to about $32.50, where it then finds another area of resistance. You're going to be using levels like this once the chart's underneath the breakout zone or the breakdown zone. At this point, you're going to be using levels like this as areas of resistance. So chart comes back up into this area of resistance, then you take it on the short side, you add if the chart breaks the trend to the downside. Momo's for right now, it's an aggressive short to the downside. It's nothing really to do with this one until the chart decides that it wants to turn around for itself. OLED, nice bearish engulfing up at the top. We have earnings coming up on this chart in a couple days, but I'm thinking, hey, the chart looks like it wants to start selling off a bit. We had a seller come into close on Friday, and off the bearish engulfing, I'd like to see a short on this one. I think if you get a nice little pop on this one to 135.50, puts you about a 50% retrace off of Friday's move, and that should give you enough resistance to try to see if we can bring the chart to start curling back to the downside. We do have the moving averages already kind of bent, and so that leads me to believe that maybe we have some profit taken on OLED right into the earnings off of the move that it's been having. On blue, I think the chart goes higher. We have a nice little bull flag set up and earnings coming up on this one. All the moving averages are pointed to the upside where it should be. And I think if you get a pullback on blue, a small pullback at that, I mean, on a chart like this, a small pullback is a dollar. And so a chart closed at 142.50. If it comes down to that 141.50, I think blue gives you some support and a long trade for another breakout and another move higher. CARG, recent IPO. I like this one. If the chart breaks over Friday's session high, I will be long on this chart. So I'm just going to wait for the trigger to happen. Once the trigger comes into play, I'll be long on CARG. It's an easy setup for a trigger trade. Isrg had a nice recovery on this chart on Friday, and I'd like to see some continuation off of it. But before that happens, we would need the chart to reset, to retest, and that breakout zone happens right there. So if the chart was to come back and retest this $364 level, it then resets against the breakout, and that's your play on ISRG off the $364 level. ATHN is number 7 on the list. Had a nice strong volume move on Friday. I think the chart continues to push higher off of that. Chart's already given back about 50% off of the move from Friday, and I think we get the continuation right into tomorrow, right into the early part of the week. I think the chart just continues to the upside here. It would be ideal to have a close over the 50 EMA and over the 200 SMA, but for right now, the chart seems like it wants to continue higher, and I think along off of this level that it sits is a tradable chart. Number 8 on the list is shop. I like this chart for a little bit more. I think it runs a little bit into the earnings. We have a huge breakout level, but I don't see the chart getting there before earnings. But I do think that we get closer to the 111.70s here, right up into this area of resistance. So off of where the chart sits, I'd be long on it for a day trade if it pulls back to 150. So $100.50 is that level where the chart should find some support. If you have the capabilities to keep it, I think the chart gets up to that 111.75 before earnings. Restoration Hardware. Nice solid move to the upside. The chart's starting to get some more volume coming in. More green bars are setting up. I think the chart continues to go off of the levels that it's sitting. I would like to see a pullback on it because I feel like the breakout to the upside wasn't strong into the close, and that's why I would like to see a pullback first. Chart closed at 83.79. If it pulls back to about $83 on Restoration Hardware, gives you a long trade for the day coming into tomorrow. And number 10 on the list, the last one, is SIG. I like the chart. You're getting a nice little continuation move. It can be an easy trigger trade where you just set an alert against that trigger, or you can play it on the long side if the chart pulls back. This chart was up about $3 on the day on Friday, so we can see some pullback off of a chart like this. Levels to watch on something like this chart is about $65. 64.80, and a chart like this does have some range, and so a chart pulls back into some of this area, you can try to get some support off of this level, and that'll put you at about $64.80 for the chart to retrace and give you a continuation move. So those are the 10 that I'm looking at for this week. Those are the 10 that are going to be on my side charts. And then I have a lot more that's going to come into play as the day, as the week progresses, or things that we don't have up on radar or scans to, to come up and trade. So here's my Twitter handle at Iceman Trading. Post a lot of charts on here in addition to the ones that I make on the videos. And if you are interested in trading with me at Iceman Trading Academy, please check out the website, icemantradingacademy.com. You'll find all the information that you need to trade with us. Have a great week, guys. Take care.